I will call the January 13th, 2025 public hearing to order. And we have a few items on the public hearing. The first one is a special event, March 28th, 29th, 2025, which is a South Louisiana Truck and Tractor Pull, 15107 East Yoakum Road. That's in District 6. Anyone here to speak on that matter? Yellow Water, okay. Anyone here to speak on that? Okay, second item is an ordinance directing a renewal of the levy and collection of 1% 1 cent sales and use tax upon sale at retail, the use, the lease or rental, the consumption, and the storage for use of or consumption of tangible personal property, and upon the sale of services in the parish of Tangipahoa, state of Louisiana, for a period of 4 years, beginning on December 31st, 2025, and further providing for other matters in connection therewith. Anyone here to speak on that matter? Okay. Item 3, an ordinance amending and enacting Chapter 36, Planning and Development, Article 1, Section 36.9, definitions to include small box discount store. No one here on that one. And item 4 is an ordinance to place a moratorium on the consideration and or approval of all small box discount stores within the Tangipahoa Parish until such time as the pending studies and ordinances are complete. No one speak on any of that. I will close the public hearing, call the council meeting to order. I'll ask you to please mute or turn off your cell phone. I will handle the invocation, and Mr. Joseph will handle the pledge. Please bow your heads. Lord, as we, the council, enter 2025, please continue to give us direction and guidance so that we may make decisions that are in the best interest of the citizens of Tangipahoa Parish. Give us a clear vision that helps us to achieve our main goal, which is enhancing the quality of life of our citizens. Also, keep in mind all of those dealing with health issues. Protect our and all first responders, especially those dealing with the major fires out on the West Coast. As citizens evacuate, the first responders are heading directly into harm's way. Also, protect those in our military who at this very moment may be in harm's way so that we can enjoy this great life that we live in these United States of America. Amen.
Please join the hand salute as we recite the pledge of allegiance on my command in unison. Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. All right, let's see what we got here. Jill, would you call roll, please?
Mr. Sinagra.
Here.
Mr. Ingraffia.
Here.
Mr. Joseph. Mr. Havis.
Here.
Mr. Richtel.
Here.
Mr. Mayhew.
Here.
Mr. Wells.
Here.
Mr. Vial.
Here.
Ms. Hyde. Here. Ms. Ciotat.
Here.
All right, first item up for is election of officers. Floor is open to nomination for 2025 chairman.
I'd like to nominate Mr. David Viel.
I'd like to second that nomination.
All right, are there any other nominations? All right,
I
with the
second.
nomination be closed, is there a second?
A second.
Buddy and Bridget, would you call roll, please, on that?
Mr. Ingraffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Havis.
Yes.
Mr. Richtel.
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Vial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
All right, thank you much.
I don't get to vote on that?
You know, you're not. But one of the main things I will be focusing on is trying to finish up this comp plan, or at least get this thing on track so that we can get that done in this next year, or maybe early next, this year and next year. Okay, next on the floor is open for nomination for vice chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Ms. Bridget Dillard Hyde.
Okay. All right, any other nominations?
I'll second.
All right, any other nominations besides Ms. Hyde? Is there a motion to close the nominations?
So move.
So motion by Mr. Joseph, is there a second?
Second.
Was John, Sinagra, I'm sorry. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Havis.
Yes.
Mr. Richtel.
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Vial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia.
Yes.
All right, congrats, Ms. Hyde. The now Floor is open for nominations of the 2025 Clerk of the Council. Let's give that a lot of thought, okay?
Is there anyone here qualified for that position?
think,
I'd like to nominate Ms. Dezou.
and I'll second that. I think she's overqualified.
All right. Are there any other nominations? If there being none, is there a motion to close the nominations?
I so move.
Was
Go ahead, give it to
Mr.
him.
Joseph and Ms. Hyde, I think. All right. You call roll, please.
Mr. Havis,
Yes.
Mr. Richtel.
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Bial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
Mr. Graffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Okay, and all of those pass 10-0. Adoption of the minutes of December 23rd, 2024.
So moved.
Mr. Joseph, is there a second?
I second.
Second was Ms. Hyde. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Richtel.
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Bial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
Mr. Graffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Havis.
Okay,
Yes.
passes 10-0. Public input, anyone wishing to address agenda items which were not on the public hearing? Hearing none. Mr. Miller, Parish President's Report.
Thank you, sir, and good evening. Our first item on the agenda is the proclamation for Catholic Schools Week beginning January 26th. The Diocese of Baton Rouge asked us to do a proclamation recognizing that. We are glad to do so. If it'll be the 26th. We appreciate all the work that the diocese does in our Catholic schools in Tangipahoa Parish.
Sounds good.
First item with action is to accept the recommendation of condemnation for 11540 Wendell Lane, Hammond, assessment number 4203100. That's in District 6.
And you have a package in your,
So moved.
As always, we've gotten to the point where it requires us to take action at this. Hopefully it'll still.
first by Mr. Mayhew and second by Mr. Ridgel. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Bial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
Mr. Graffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Havis.
Yes.
Mr. Richtel.
Yes.
Passes 10-0.
Thank you.
Mr.
The next
Miller?
item is acceptance, to accept recommendation of condemnation report for 43158 Tillman Drive, Hammond, assessment number 1967207. That's also in District 6.
Mr.
That's mine
Mayhew.
also. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Mayhew. Is there a second? Second one was by Mr. Wells. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Bial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
Mr. Graffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Havis.
Yes.
Mr. Richtel. Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Passes 10-0. Anything else, Mr.
The
Miller?
only item, I'd like to congratulate all of you and us for making it a full year into this term. We're beginning the second year of this term, whichever it happens to be for each of you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to work with you, and I appreciate it and look forward to another good year.
All righty.
Any
Thank you
questions?
much.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Miller? Give me 1 second here. Okay, we move on to regular business. First item is approval of a special event, March 28th, 29th, 2025, South Louisiana Track and Trailer Pull, 15107 East Yellowwater Road in Hammond. This is one that we have every year. Mr. Mayhew, this is in your district?
So move.
First by Mr. Mayhew. Second? Second by Mr. Ridgel. Call roll, please.
Mr. Bial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
Mr. Graffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Havis.
Yes.
Mr. Richtel.
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Okay, passes 10-0. We'll now get into the adoption of ordinances. Adoption of an ordinance number 2455, an ordinance directing a renewal of the levy and collection of a 1% sale and use tax upon the sale at retail, the use, the lease or rental, the consumption, and the storage for use or consumption of tangible personal property, and upon the sale of services in the parish of Tangipahoa, state of Louisiana, for a period of 4 years, beginning on December 31, 2025, further providing for other matters in connection therewith. Any questions? Is there a motion?
I so move.
Ms. Hyde, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Wells. Would you call roll, please?
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
Mr. Graffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Havis.
Yes.
Mr. Richardson. Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Bial.
Yes, adopted 10-0. Item 7 is adoption of ordinance number 2458, an ordinance amending and enacting Chapter 36, Planning and Development, Article 1, Section 36-9, definitions to include small box discount store. And that is recommended by the DRC. Are there any questions? We discussed this at the last meeting. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion. I'll
Ms.
second.
Ms. Ciotat and Ms. Hyde, second. Call roll, please.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
Mr. Graffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Havis.
Yes.
Mr. Richardson.
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells. Mr. Bial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Okay, passes 10-0. Item number 8, an ordinance to place a moratorium on the consideration and/or approval of small box discount stores within Tangipahoa Parish until such time as the pending studies and ordinances are complete. It's recommended by the DRC. It's a 120-day calendar, effect immediately upon the signature of the parish president. This moratorium put in place to allow time to put some standards in place for small box stores.
I so move.
That
And I
was-
second.
See it, Ms. Hyde. Call roll, please.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
Mr. Graffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Havis.
Yes.
Mr. Richardson. Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Bial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Passes 10-0. Okay, item 9, we'll have a long discussion on this one. Public hearing for these will be on January 27th, 2025. Introduction of TP Ordinance 2501, an ordinance to adjust the salary of the clerk of the Tangipahoa Parish Council.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
3% cost of living rate.
Yeah, I second.
Mr. Wells and Mr. Joseph. Everybody think before you vote now. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Graffia.
I'm surveying. No. Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Havis.
Yes.
Mr. Richardson. Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Bial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
Passes 10-0. The next item is an ordinance 2502, ordinance amending and enacting Chapter 10 Animals. This is recommended by the DRC. It adds some state language into our definition, adding state language definitions meaning, what is the meaning for cruel, dangerous, or vicious dogs will be included in ours, and adding a state law on maximum 3-year possession ban for any person or residential address possessing a vicious or dangerous dog.
I so move.
And one other item.
Second.
All right, I got a first and a second, but I'm gonna read this third thing. Any animal in areas open to the public should be licensed and microchipped with a current rabies vaccination. Failure to possess the correct licenses and vaccinations will result in an animal being removed from the public area by the owner or an animal control officer upon refusal of the owner. And I already have a first and a second. This is to go to the DRC. That was Ciotat and Hyde, or Hyde and Ciotat?
Hyde and Ciotat.
Okay. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Havis.
Yes.
Mr. Richardson.
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Bial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
Mr. Graffia.
Yes.
Passes 10-0. Now we get into adoption of some resolutions. A resolution of the Tangipahoa Parish Council President Government to approve, to move forward with the condemnation proceedings of a structure located at 48445 Sibley Road in Tickfaw. This is assessment 4625501. This is in District 4. This property condemnation report was approved on December the 23rd agenda, but a resolution is required, so that's why it's back on here. Mr. Havis?
I'll make that motion.
First by Mr. Havis,
I second.
second by Mr. Joseph. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Havis.
Yes.
Mr. Richardson.
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Bial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat.
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra.
Yes.
Mr. Graffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Passes 10-0. Item 12, adoption of Resolution 2502, a resolution of the Tangipahoa Parish Council President Government to approve to move forward with condemnation proceedings of a structure located at 11540 Wendell Lane, Hammond, Louisiana, and Mr. Mayhew, that is used, the one we had in a public.
So move.
Mr. Mayhew and Mr. Ridgell. Call roll, please.
Mr. Richardson.
Yep.
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Bial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat?
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Passes 10-0. Item 13, a resolution of the Tangipahoa Parish Council President Government to move forward with condemnation proceedings of a structure located at 43158 Tillman Drive, and that's Mr. Mayhew's district.
So moved.
First by Mr. Mayhew, is there a second?
I'll second.
And Mr. Wells is a second. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat?
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Passes 10-0. Adoption of Resolution 25-04, a resolution of the Tangipahoa Parish Council President Government for State 2024-25 CWEF grants. These are various water system improvements and repairs at the Eastern Heights Watering District. The improvements will include a replacement and/or repairs to water lines, fire hydrants, as well as installing chlorine analyzers at various water well sites. And this is grant funds, up to $100,000.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Havis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Graffia, would you call roll, please?
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat?
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
One question. Where do we stand on that, Joe, with Eastern Heights?
It's changed the water district now. It's no more.
It's no more Eastern Heights?
Yeah.
We straight with the school board too?
Yeah.
Okay, so move.
Mr. Havis?
Well, I think there was a question. You want to say something, Robbie?
Well, I thought y'all were finished voting. Go ahead, that's fine. I was just gonna say, these are resolutions to support the grant application.
Right.
We're not spending any money yet. We're attempting to get the money.
We had a first and
I'm still roll calling.
we had a first and second. Okay, we're in the middle of roll. Okay.
Mr. Havis?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yep.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
All right, passes 10-0. As far as Eastern Heights, what is the latest update, though? I know we've taken it over and all that kind of stuff. They changed out water meters, I heard, and
So they're just about 100% complete with all the water meters for all the residents. Last I checked with Mr. Charles, which was back in early December, they had around 100 left, a little bit less than 100, and then all the water meters are swapped out. You can always ask Mr. Ken and Miss Cindy how the water pressure is in the lodge. And but they happy, I'm happy.
all right, thank you.
So Joe, we resolved that problem with the school board, I remember they were saying,
So I think they're still working through that, but I think it's all moving forward.
okay.
Anything on that, Joe? That's, okay. All right, item 15, Resolution 2504, a resolution of the Tangipahoa Parish Council President Government for State 2505. That's why we gave you that 3% raise. A resolution of Tangipahoa Parish President Government for State 2425 LGAP grant. And this is to purchase and install digital access entry panels, Google Meet hardware, software, other IT-related equipment at several parish government-owned buildings. And these are also supportive of grant funds for up to $100,000. Is there a motion?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph, is there a
I
second?
second.
Second was Mr. Rizzo. Call roll, please.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat?
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Havis?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yep.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Passes 10-0. Okay. We got a board appointment, Amite Area Rec District. Approved new appointment, Carl Foster, to fill unexpired term set to expire April 2025. Mr. Joseph, I think that's your district.
Yes, we call him Top Foster because he spent about 20 years in the Marine Corps. And he's been a solid citizen for the town of Amite. He served on an interim basis on the city council until the election, and I think he didn't win the last race, so he's now free to contribute to his community by serving on the rec board, and I recommend him highly.
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Joseph, Mr. Havis on that one. Would you call roll, please?
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Ciotat?
Yes.
Mr. Sinagra?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Havis?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yep.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes. Passes 10-0. Beer, wine, liquor permits?
None.
Don't have any. Any legal matters?
No,
Mr.
no
Moody?
report.
Any councilman privileges? Come on, Louis Joseph doesn't have one?
No, he's gonna come up with
Mr.
one.
David, did you want to mention the comp plan website?
Yes,
Did-
please. You can
Okay.
handle that?
Yeah, the website is live for the, our 2024 comp plan. It's www.tangi-2045.com. And we just encouraged the citizens to be a part of this process. We adopted our master plan early spring last year, and we're working on implementation of that plan and how that's going to work with our regulations moving forward. So we really want the public's input in this and for the public to be involved in how we move forward over the next 25 years.
And there was one meeting already in Hammond, Clausen. I think it had 50 people attending. They'll
Yeah.
have another one, I'm sure, on the north end.
There's-
And they do a lot of interactive, one-on-one, small groups that want to meet with them to try to get a lot of citizen input. They're really good at this.
Okay, David, I'm not gonna let you down.
I knew it.
Robert sent out a beautiful memo, I don't know if you all read it, by means of email, asking us to keep the people in New Orleans in our prayers. And he said that you can give a donation or you can donate blood. So I'm following his lead. I will be giving blood tomorrow at 3 o'clock in Baton Rouge, Robbie, in honor of those citizens in New Orleans. Okay.
Okay. Anyone else? All righty. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So, yes,
Mr. Joseph, or any objections?
Second.
football.
Hearing no objections, meeting adjourned. Have a good- take it easy.